Welcome to WiserReads, the channel where we break down the world's most powerful books into practical, life-changing insights you can use every day. In this video, we're diving into the best-selling phenomenon that's transformed millions of lives, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you ever tried to change a habit only to give up a few days later? Tried building a morning routine, eating healthier, or being more productive, but couldn't make it stick? You're not alone. But this book offers a new approach. James Clear shows us that lasting change doesn't come from huge breakthroughs. It comes from tiny, consistent improvements, what he calls atomic habits. This book isn't about willpower or motivation. It's about systems, practical strategies that reshape your environment, your identity, and your behavior in powerful ways. We'll walk through the 4 simple laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And we'll also explore how to break bad habits using the same principles in reverse. If you're someone who wants to grow, improve, and take real control over your daily life, this summary is for you. Whether it's your health, your focus, your habits, or your mindset, Atomic Habits gives you the roadmap. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, because here on WiserReads, we turn the world's best books into tools for a smarter, better you. Let's get started with Atomic Habits. The power of tiny changes. In Atomic Habits, James Clear emphasizes that small, consistent changes lead to remarkable long-term results. This is the essence of the power of tiny changes. Clear introduces the idea of 1% improvements, showing that if you get just 1% better each day, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. These improvements may seem minor in the moment, but their compound effect over time is extraordinary. The mistake many people make is believing that change must be big and dramatic to matter. But real progress comes from building systems of small habits that stack up gradually. Just as money multiplies through compound interest, habits compound, both good and bad. Clear explains that habits are like seeds, invisible at first, but if nurtured consistently, they can grow into powerful outcomes. The key is patience and persistence. You may not see immediate results, but over time, these tiny changes shape your identity and outcomes. He also introduces the concept of the plateau of latent potential, the idea that results often lag behind effort. Many people give up when progress seems slow, but breakthroughs usually come after a long period of silent growth. In short, the power of tiny changes teaches us to focus on process over perfection, to trust the compound effect, and to commit to small daily improvements, because these are the habits that truly transform lives.
How habits shape your identity. One of the most powerful ideas in Atomic Habits is that habits are not just actions, they are votes for the person you want to become. James Clear explains that there are 3 levels of behavior change: outcomes, what you get; processes, what you do; and identity, what you believe. Most people focus on outcomes, like losing weight or earning more money, but lasting change comes from focusing on the deepest level, identity. Instead of asking, "What do I want to achieve?" Clear encourages us to ask, "Who do I want to become?" Every small habit you build is a vote for a new identity. For example, if you read every day, you're not just reading, you're becoming a reader. If you exercise regularly, you're reinforcing the identity of a healthy person. Change becomes more meaningful and sustainable when it's tied to your sense of self. This is why identity-based habits are more effective than goal-based ones. Because they aren't something you do temporarily, they're a reflection of who you are becoming. At the same time, bad habits reinforce unwanted identities. Every time you skip a workout or procrastinate, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. In summary, to truly transform your life, don't just build habits for the sake of goals. Build them to align with your ideal self. Because in the end, you become what you repeatedly do. The 4 laws of behavior change. In Atomic Habits, James Clear introduces a simple and effective framework for building good habits and breaking bad ones. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change, based on how human behavior actually works. These 4 laws correspond to the 4 stages of a habit: cue, craving, response, and reward. Law 1. Make it obvious. A habit starts with a cue, something that triggers your behavior. To build better habits, you need to design your environment and routines so the cues are clear and visible. For example, putting a book on your pillow reminds you to read before bed. Law 2. Make it attractive. Habits are driven by craving. To make a habit stick, you need to associate it with something rewarding or enjoyable. This can be done through temptation bundling, pairing something you want to do with something you need to do. Law 3. Make it easy. The response is the actual behavior. The easier it is to do, the more likely you'll repeat it. Focus on reducing friction, preparing in advance, and starting with just 2 minutes, known as the 2-minute rule. Law 4. Make it satisfying. The reward reinforces the habit. A habit becomes sustainable when it feels good right away. Use immediate positive reinforcement like tracking progress or rewarding yourself to build momentum. By applying these 4 laws, you can create a system that makes good habits inevitable and bad habits harder to maintain. It's not about willpower, it's about strategy. Law 1. Make it obvious. The first law of behavior change in Atomic Habits is make it obvious. It focuses on the cue, the trigger that initiates a habit. James Clear explains that many of our habits are automatic because we've repeated them so often we no longer think about them. To change or build new habits, we first need to become aware of what we're already doing. This starts with a habit scorecard, writing down your daily habits to identify which ones serve you and which don't. Once you're aware, the key to building better habits is to design your environment so the cues for good behavior are visible and easy to notice. For example, want to drink more water? Place a water bottle on your desk. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow. Want to eat healthier? Put fruits on the counter instead of junk food. Clear also introduces the technique of implementation intentions, a proven way to make a habit obvious by stating when and where it will happen. I will plus behavior, at plus time, in plus location. Another effective strategy is habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one. After I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute. The more specific and visible the cue, the more likely the habit will take root. In short, making it obvious means bringing intention and structure to your habits. When the cue is clear, your brain knows exactly when to act, turning good intentions into consistent action. Law 2. Make it attractive. The second law of behavior change in Atomic Habits is make it attractive. This law focuses on the craving stage of a habit, the emotional desire that motivates you to act. James Clear explains that the more appealing a habit is, the more likely you are to do it. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, so habits that trigger positive feelings are easier to stick with. One of the most effective ways to make a habit more attractive is through a technique called temptation bundling, pairing an action you need to do with one you want to do. For example, I'll only watch my favorite show while I'm on the treadmill. This combines immediate gratification with long-term goals,
making the desired habit more enjoyable in the moment. Clear also highlights the power of social influence. We tend to adopt habits that are normal in our culture or peer group. If you want to build a certain habit, surround yourself with people who already live that way. Their behavior becomes contagious. Another key idea is to reframe your mindset. Instead of saying, I have to work out, say, I get to improve my health. Making habits emotionally appealing shifts your attitude and boosts motivation. In short, making it attractive means increasing the emotional reward of a habit. When a habit feels fun, rewarding, or socially accepted, you'll crave it more and repeat it more.
Law 3. Make it easy. The third law of behavior change in Atomic Habits is make it easy. This principle centers on the response, the actual behavior itself. The idea is simple. The easier a habit is to start and repeat, the more likely it will stick. James Clear emphasizes that people often fail not because they lack motivation, but because they make habits too difficult or complicated. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or relying on willpower, successful habit builders reduce friction. They make the habit as effortless as possible. One powerful method is the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. This shifts the focus from intensity to consistency. For example, want to read more? Start by reading 1 page. Want to work out? Just put on your workout clothes. These tiny steps lower the resistance and make it easier to show up every day, which is the real goal. Clear also encourages environment design to make good habits convenient and bad habits harder. For example, keep your guitar in the living room to practice more. Delete distracting apps to avoid wasting time. Automation helps too. Set reminders, schedule tasks, or use tools to remove extra steps. In short, making it easy means focusing on action, not perfection. Build momentum with small steps, eliminate unnecessary friction, and let repetition, not struggle, create the change.
Law 4. Make it satisfying. The fourth and final law of behavior change in Atomic Habits is make it satisfying. This law is based on the reward stage, the part of a habit that tells your brain, this was worth it, do it again. James Clear explains that we are more likely to repeat behaviors that feel good. If a habit is satisfying, it signals to your brain that the action was beneficial, reinforcing the behavior and making it more likely to stick. The challenge? Many good habits have delayed rewards, like saving money or eating healthy, while bad habits offer instant gratification, like scrolling social media or eating junk food. To build better habits, you need to make the rewards immediate and enjoyable. One effective method is habit tracking, using a visual system like checking off a calendar to get instant satisfaction from completing a habit. That small reward creates a sense of progress and accomplishment. Another strategy is reinforcement. Pair the habit with something you enjoy right after, like listening to music after a workout. This builds a positive emotional association with the habit. To break bad habits, do the opposite. Make them unsatisfying. Use accountability partners or social consequences to create negative feedback for behaviors you want to quit. In short, making it satisfying means creating positive reinforcement that your brain craves. When a habit feels good immediately, you're more likely to do it again, and that's how lasting change is built.
Breaking Bad Habits Summary. In Atomic Habits, James Clear explains that breaking bad habits isn't just about willpower. It's about changing the environment and system that support those habits. He suggests inverting the 4 laws of behavior change used to build good habits, to help you make bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Make it invisible.
Remove or hide the cues that trigger bad habits. For example, if you want to stop snacking on junk food, don't keep it in your house. Make it unattractive. Reframe how you think about bad habits. Focus on the negative consequences and drawbacks. Remind yourself why these habits don't serve your goals. Make it difficult. Increase the friction involved. Add steps or obstacles to make the bad habit harder to perform. For example, delete distracting apps or put your phone in another room. Make it unsatisfying. Introduce immediate negative consequences or accountability. This could be a social contract, a penalty, or sharing your goals with someone who can keep you in check. Clear emphasizes that willpower alone rarely works because habits are automatic responses to cues. The key is to reshape your environment and mindset so bad habits lose their power. Breaking bad habits takes patience and awareness, but by designing your environment intentionally, you reduce the chance of slipping back and increase your chances of lasting change. In essence, breaking bad habits is about removing triggers and rewards that sustain them and replacing those patterns with healthier, more intentional behaviors.
The role of environment and community. In Atomic Habits, James Clear highlights the powerful influence that environment and community have on shaping our habits and behaviors. Clear argues that the environment often shapes our actions more than motivation or willpower. Small changes in your surroundings can dramatically increase or decrease the likelihood of a habit. For example, leaving your running shoes by the door makes it easier to exercise, while cluttered spaces can lead to distraction and procrastination. Designing your environment intentionally helps make good habits obvious and bad habits less accessible. This means removing temptations and adding cues that encourage positive behavior. Your physical space acts as a silent prompt guiding your choices every day. Beyond physical environment, the social environment, the community and people around you plays a crucial role. Humans are social creatures who naturally imitate those they spend time with. Your habits tend to mirror the norms of your social groups. Surrounding yourself with people who exhibit the habits and qualities you want to develop makes it easier to adopt those behaviors yourself. Whether it's fitness, reading, or productivity, joining groups or communities aligned with your goals creates positive social pressure and accountability. Clear emphasizes that to change your habits, sometimes the most effective step is to change your environment or the people you spend time with. In summary, your environment and community act as powerful forces that shape your identity and habits. By designing spaces and relationships that support your goals, you make lasting behavior change easier and more natural.
The plateau of latent potential. In Atomic Habits, James Clear introduces the concept of the plateau of latent potential to explain why progress often feels slow or invisible at first, even when you're putting in consistent effort. This plateau is like an ice cube sitting on the stove. No matter how much heat you apply, the temperature won't rise until the ice melts. Similarly, when you start new habits, the results don't immediately show. Your efforts seem to produce little or no progress. Many people get discouraged during this phase and give up, not realizing that real breakthroughs require patience and persistent action over time. Clear explains that habits compound, but this compounding effect often happens below the surface before dramatic changes appear. The key is to trust the process and keep showing up even when you don't see instant rewards. The breakthrough occurs when your habits reach a tipping point, a critical mass where the small improvements
finally create visible change. After this, progress accelerates rapidly. Understanding the plateau of latent potential helps you overcome frustration and stay committed to your goals. Instead of chasing immediate results, focus on the systems and daily habits that build momentum quietly but powerfully. In summary, the plateau of latent potential teaches us that success isn't linear. Real growth often happens in hidden stages before it becomes visible. Patience, persistence, and trust in your habits are essential to breaking through and achieving lasting change.
Advanced techniques for habit mastery. In Atomic Habits, James Clear offers advanced strategies to take your habit-building journey to the next level, helping you master habits for lasting success. One powerful technique is habit stacking, linking a new habit to an existing one. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. This creates a strong mental association, making new habits easier to remember and perform. Clear also emphasizes the importance of habit tracking. By visually recording your progress, like marking an X on a calendar for each day you complete a habit, you create a satisfying feedback loop. Seeing a chain of successful days motivates you to keep going and avoid breaking the streak. Another advanced method is using accountability partners or groups. Sharing your goals and progress with others increases commitment and makes it harder to skip habits. Clear encourages focusing on identity-based habits rather than outcome-based ones. Instead of chasing a goal, I want to run a marathon, adopt the identity, I am a runner. This mindset shift makes habits more meaningful and easier to maintain. Automation also plays a role in mastery. Use tools like reminders, apps, or environmental design to reduce friction and keep habits on track without relying solely on willpower. Finally, Clear advises embracing continuous improvement by regularly reviewing and adjusting your habits to align with your evolving goals. In short, advanced habit mastery is about building systems that support consistency, motivation, and identity. Using techniques like habit stacking, tracking, and accountability helps transform habits from effortful tasks into effortless routines.
Thank you for watching this summary of Atomic Habits by James Clear, one of the most practical and powerful books on habit change and personal growth. This book shows us that true transformation doesn't happen overnight or through massive changes. Instead, it's the small, consistent actions, tiny habits, that compound over time and create remarkable results. By focusing on identity-based habits and mastering the 4 laws of behavior change, making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, you can build a system that shapes who you are and what you achieve. Remember, success isn't about perfect motivation or willpower. It's about designing your environment and routines so good habits become automatic and bad habits fade away. If you're ready to take control of your habits and unlock your full potential, Atomic Habits offers the tools and mindset to get started. For more insightful book summaries that help you learn faster and live smarter, make sure to subscribe to WiserReads and hit the notification bell. Join our community of curious minds committed to growth and success. See you in the next video.